You've tuned in to Larger Than Life with Pastor Ron Hint of Calvary Chapel, Houston. Here's a preview from Pastor Ron of today's message.
Here's the thing. There are times where it's hard to believe everything. It's hard to believe all things. Lord, this is getting hard, but we can always hope. We can always hope. Listen, today you might have a child who's a prodigal. I raised them to follow the Lord, and yet they're a prodigal. Well, you continue to hope in God. It's been said that hope is the long cord of love that never gets disconnected, right? So you're just holding on to it. When you can't bear anymore, when you can't believe anymore, love hopes all things. Love hopes all things.
Being a mom is really hard. It's difficult to imagine all that a mother goes through, all that she sacrifices for her family, the sleepless nights and tireless days, all because of the love that she has for her children and the hope that she has for their lives. In today's message, Pastor Ron encourages us to take a moment to appreciate the love of God that's so evident in the life of our moms. A godly mother is a beautiful example of the love God has for us. Her selfless life is a picture of Christ's sacrifice for us. Well, let's join Pastor Ron in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13 as he continues his message, Love Is.
My mom, she did so much for me. I never woke up a morning thinking, boy, I hope she makes my lunch for school today. I hope there's food on the table. I hope she washes my clothes. It was never that thought. She was always doing it for me every morning, making breakfast for the kids, packing their lunches for school throughout the day, doing their clothes at nighttime, making dinner for the family. It's like you could set a clock to it, man. And I'm so thankful for that. But sometimes we just think, man, it seems like she's just always working, that she might even work for us or something. In fact, there was a father who was actually trying to describe marriage to his 4-year-old daughter, at least the concept of that. So what he thought is maybe visual aid will help. So he got out their marriage album, and showed them as they had this ceremony coming down the aisle and had all the attendants there. And then mommy and dad got married, and he said, do you have any questions? She pointed to the picture when they were saying their vows. And she said, Daddy, is that when mommy came to work for us? Yikes. So because of that, sometimes kids can have that perspective. Hey, you work for me. No, but she loves us. She sacrifices for us. We're thankful for that. Rather than being boastful, she is just others, not self, but others. Now, there's a fifth quality here. It says here in verse 4 that love is not arrogant. In other words, love is humble. Now, as I said, humility is something we can all learn. And as I was thinking of this quality, I was thinking of William Carey. If you haven't read a biography from him, he's called the father of modern day missions. Missions really began out in the 1800s from England going through the known world. And listen to this, he never went to school. He was self-taught. However, going to India, he actually translated the Bible, the entire Bible, into 34 different languages. He was highly intelligent. However, during most of his ministry, he was ridiculed by many because of his low birth and even his former occupation before going into the mission field. Before arriving in England, he was a cobbler. That's what he did. And so he was at a dinner party one evening, and an individual there wanted to belittle him in front of others. And so they came up to him. He'd been in ministry now, he's now in his 70s. And he said, I understand, Mr. Carey, that you once worked as a shoemaker. Oh, no, your lordship, Carey replied. I was not a shoemaker. I was a shoe repairman. He was a man who never took glory into himself for all that he did. And I think about our moms. They never take glory into themselves for all they do. I do this, I do that. No, it's talking about Jesus and all that Jesus done and then caring for them. And I think that that's how our moms really are. And we're not worthy of such love, but they do love us none the same. I like this story. There was a little boy, he asked his babysitter, hey, what do you think I should get my mom for Mother's Day? She was out on a date with her husband. They were just having a time. And so he's asking the babysitter this. The babysitter says, well, I'll tell you what you could do. Why don't you promise to keep your room clean for your mom and orderly? I think she'd like that. Or why don't you go to bed as soon as she tells you? Or why don't you come to her as soon as she calls you? Or after you finish eating, why don't you brush your teeth without being told? Or why don't you stop fighting with your brothers and sisters? Little boy looked at the babysitter and said, no, I mean something practical. So again, as kids, And I remember being just that empty-headed. You know, love your moms because they are far from arrogant. They are humble, and they're constantly giving to you and to us. Number 6, love is not rude. Love is not rude. Now, this is a great word in the original language. This word literally means shapeless. Love is not shapeless, is how it would really translate. And this word in context is used to describe a person who's not willing to conform themselves or shape themselves in consideration to another person. You see, a rude person essentially says, I don't care what you say, what you think, this is the way I am, and off they go. You know, it's all about themselves. But that's not love. Love will conform itself to others to benefit others. And again, isn't that a great picture of our mothers? I can't think of a time where my mom wasn't considering the preciousness of other people. That it's not about us, it's about others. Now listen, as husbands, we don't always see it. That's for sure, man. This is a good day to even let your wife know, thank you. But there was a man who came home from work one day, and as he comes home, he found the house in total mayhem. His 3 children were outside, still in their pajamas, playing in mud with empty food boxes and wrappers all around the front yard. As he came to the front door of the house, the front door was wide open. Proceeding into the entry, he found an even bigger mess. Lamp knocked over, the throw rug slammed up against the wall. In the front room, the TV was loudly blaring cartoons on a channel. The family room was strewn with toys and various pieces of clothing all over the place. In the kitchen, the sink was full of dishes, breakfast food spilled on the counter, dog food all over the floor, a broken glass underneath the table, a small pile of sand by the back door. Now he quickly headed upstairs. He was worried. Where's my wife? Stepping over toys and more piles of clothes. Looking for her, he was worried. She might be ill. Something serious has happened. But when he gets upstairs in the bedroom, he found her lounging on the bed, still curled in bed with her pajamas on, reading a novel. She looked up and smiled and said, how did your day go? Now he's totally perplexed and bewildered. He asked her, what happened here today? She smiled again and said, you know, every day when you come home from work and you ask me, what in the world did I do today? He said, yeah. She said, now you know. Now you know. You think of all the things our moms do for us. Praise the Lord. Amen. Number 7, it tells us here, love does not seek its own. One translation says, love is not selfish. This is what Jesus taught us. He taught his disciples and us how to live. In fact, using himself as an example, Jesus said in Mark 10:45, for the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, not seeking his own. Again, when you think about moms, isn't that exactly what they do? They're here and they serve us, which is so amazing. And they always are seeking to encourage us. I read a story about 2 men. They were both very seriously ill and they were sharing the same hospital room. One man was allowed to sit up in his bed 1 hour every afternoon to help fluid drain from his lungs, and his bed was in the room's only window. The other man had to remain without a window, flat on his back. The men would talk for hours on end. They spoke of their wives, their families, the things that they were involved in, the vacations they had with family and friends and so forth. And every afternoon, the man in the bed next to the window would sit up and he would pass the time by describing to his roommate all the things he was able to see outside of the window. Now, the man in the other bed began to live for those 1 hour periods when his world would be broadened and he could hear about the color and the activity, just longing to be outside. You see, the window overlooked a park with a lovely lake, and ducks and swans played on the water. Children played along its side. Young lovers walked arm in arm. There were flowers of every color of the rainbow in this park. Grand old trees graced the landscape, and in the background you could see the cityscape. As the man by the window described it all in exquisite detail, the man on the other side of the room would close his eyes and just imagine how beautiful it was. One warm afternoon, the man even described a parade passing by, although the other man wasn't able to hear even the band. But he could see it in his mind's eye as the gentleman in the room next to that window would just describe everything in this great detail. Now, this went on for days and even weeks. But one morning, the day nurse arrived to bring water for their baths, only to find the lifeless body of the man next to the window. Now, he had died peaceably in his sleep, and she then called for the attendant to come and get him. As soon as the time seemed appropriate, the man who was, of course, in the other bed asked, "Would you mind letting me sit next to the window?" They said, "Sure, no problem." And so they placed him there, and he slowly and painfully propped himself up on one elbow just to get a glimpse of the outside. Finally, he would have the joy of seeing this beautiful scene. He strained slowly to look outside of his window. And as he looked, he was shocked to find that the window faced a blank wall. The man asked the nurse, "What could have happened to the wonderful things outside of the window?" The nurse responded, "Sir, the man who was there before you was blind. He couldn't even see the wall. However, he sought to encourage you every single day to lift up your spirits." Now I think, boy, that's how a mom is. Always seeking for the best. I know for me, when I had a bad day, my mom was always there to encourage me. Or maybe you didn't fit in, to say, "Hey, you're special." Or have a bad grade, "Hey, you can do better next time." That's a mom. She's always seeking to bless us. Number 8, we're told here that love is not provoked. That means outbursts of anger. You know, it's been said that our temper is a valued possession that you never want to lose, right? But let's be honest, even moms lose their temper, right? I mean, this is one that, hey, we've all lost our temper and said something we wish we can take back. But here's what I'm amazed about. When I think of everything that moms do for us, I'm amazed she doesn't lose her mind, to be honest with you. It was pointed out in a particular study. Listen, when you think of all that moms do, if a mom got paid for everything she does in her duties in the home, she would have, earn an average of about $700,000 a year. Why? Well, this article went on to say in the average day, a mother can be a taxi cab driver, a counselor, an engineer, a carpenter, an accountant, a judge, a motivational speaker, a preacher, a chef, a supervisor, a personal assistant, an event coordinator, an administrator, a teacher. And you combine all those jobs together and you really can't pay mom enough. Amen? Of course, you'll take a tenth of that price, wouldn't you? That'd be kind of nice. So moms, we don't appreciate you enough. Thank you. There's a 9th quality here. Love does not keep a record. Now, many of your translations will say, love thinks no evil. But the word thinks there in the original language is logizomai. And it's used to describe making an account or keeping an account. So you think of an accountant. An accountant keeps a ledger, right? He keeps a ledger, a permanent record that can be consulted of income and debt. Now in business, keeping a ledger is necessary and good. But in relationships, keeping such a ledger is never a good thing. You know what I'm talking about? Keeping a record of things that people have done, right? But the Bible tells us that love keeps no record. But we often fight the temptation to do so, right? We have this temptation to rehearse it over and over again in our mind, and we build up an extensive library. We gain this hard drive of information, or you might even say we have our own history channel, right? I'm that person, oh yeah. But the Bible tells us that love thinks no evil. It keeps no record of that. And when you think of all the things that we've done over the years growing up, I'm so thankful our moms don't keep a record, amen? That's a good thing. They are forgivers. And number 10, it tells us that love does not rejoice in iniquity. Now, iniquity is sin. Iniquity is sinful behavior. So no mother rejoices over sinful behavior. In fact, moms discipline sinful behavior, right? Oh yeah, moms do that for sure. And we should be thankful they do. One person said this, my mother taught me how to talk to God. To talk to God? Oh yeah. She said, you better pray this comes out of the carpet. My mom taught me time travel. If you don't straighten up, I'm gonna knock you into next week. My mother taught me logic. Why? Because I said so. Okay. She also taught me irony. Keep on crying, I'll give you something to cry about. What, huh? Oh, this is my favorite. My mom taught me about receiving. Go up to your room, and when I get there, you're gonna get it. you're going to receive, right? But aren't you glad that your mom disciplined you? You see, the Bible tells us in Hebrews chapter 12, whom the Lord loves, he disciplines. And our moms love us and they discipline, and we ought to thank the Lord that she did. And then number 11, there's another quality here in verse 6. It says, love rejoices in the truth. Love rejoices in what is best and what is right. So think about this. Love looks for the best in others. And again, that's certainly our moms. You know, it's been said there are plus people and minus people. Plus people seek to build people up, right? To encourage them. Minus people tear people down. Moms are definitely plus people, right? And Jesus taught us to be that way, to look for the best. When the woman was caught in adultery, you know, what did he do? Oh yeah, stone her, put her to death. No, he said, if you're without sin, you cast a stone. You see, Jesus was able to look past that sin and see what she could become in him. And certainly as he chose his disciples, they were knuckleheads just like us. But Jesus saw past their human frailties and saw what he can do through them once they're filled with the Holy Spirit. And I think moms do the same thing with us. With mom, the future is always bright, right? With mom, there's always assurance, there's encouragement, and even an instilling of confidence. That's what moms do, always seeing the best. Number 12, we're told here that love bears all things. Oh my goodness, don't moms bear a lot, right? Moms bear so much. So I've posted this before in past Mother's Day, but this is good. It was a national paper, ran this article several years ago. It might have been USA Today, but I just kept it. It's mom's description by way of job description. If you were going to be a mom and you were, applying, here you go. Job description. Long-term team players needed for challenging permanent work in an often chaotic environment. Candidates must possess excellent communication and organizational skills and be willing to work variable hours, which will include evenings, weekends, and frequent 24-hour shifts on call. Some overnight travel is required, including trips to primitive camping sites on rainy weekends and endless sports tournaments in faraway cities, travel expenses not reimbursed. Responsibilities, the rest of your life. What? Must be willing to be hated, at least temporarily, until someone needs $5. Must be willing to bite tongue repeatedly. Also must possess the physical stamina of a pack mule and be able to go from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 3 seconds flat when someone starts screaming for help. Must be willing to face stimulating technical challenges such as small gadget repair, mysteriously sluggish toilets, and stuck zippers. Must screen phone calls, maintain calendars, and coordinate multiple homework projects. How exciting. Must have ability to plan and organize social gatherings for clients of all ages and mental outlooks. Must handle assembly and product safety testing of 500,000 cheap plastic toys and battery-operated devices. We all know about that. Must always hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst. Must assume final complete accountability for the quality of the end product. Responsibilities also include floor maintenance and janitorial work. I like this. Possibility for advancement, none. Your job is to remain in the same position for years without complaining while constantly retraining and updating your skills. This is a good one. Previous experience, none required. But on-the-job training, a must for sure. Wages and compensation. Oh, this is getting good. Yeah, get this, you pay them. Offering frequent raises and bonuses and a blue payment due when they turn 18 because of the assumption that college will help them become financially independent. Yeah. And when you die, you give them everything that's left. What? Benefits. Oh yeah, no health benefits, no pension, no tuition reimbursement, no paid holidays, and no stock options. However, this job supplies limitless opportunities for personal growth, special memories, and free hugs and kisses for life. So moms, you do bear a lot of things. Thank you. Number 13, love believes all things. Love believes all things. So love is not cynical. Love gives the benefit of the doubt. And I see this in moms, to be sure. Now, this is not talking about a naive love that allows itself to be deceived. No, moms are no fools. Moms are pretty smart. The moms are not foolish. They can make mistakes. They're not perfect. But moms Listen, they're always going to believe the best because they love their kids. They choose to believe the best. Number 14, love hopes all things. And I love that word hope. It speaks of a confident expectation towards the future. A confident expectation towards the future. That's what moms say. I'm seeing the best in you. You could be anything you want to. You put your heart and mind to it and you pray to Jesus, Lord, direct me, Here's the thing. There are times where it's hard to believe everything. It's hard to believe all things. Lord, this is getting hard, but we can always hope. We can always hope. Listen, today you might have a child who's a prodigal. I raised them to follow the Lord, and yet they're a prodigal. Well, you continue to hope in God. It's been said that hope is the long cord of love that never gets disconnected, right? So you're just holding on to it. When you can't bear anymore, when you can't believe anymore, love hopes all things. Love hopes all things. I love Mark 10:27. It says, with men it's impossible, but not with God. For with God, all things are possible. God is the one, it tells us in Isaiah 61:3, that God can bring beauty from ashes. He can bring joy from mourning, and he can bring praise even from heaviness. It's amazing what God can and will do. And then we're told here, this is our 15th quality, only 2 more. It says love endures all things. Now I love this word endure. It's actually a military term in the original language, and it's describing a soldier who's holding his ground, holding his post, even in the midst of opposition. So the opposite of this word would mean to abandon ship, abandon your post, or to go AWOL, or to retreat. And you know what? That's not the love of a mother. A mom's love doesn't retreat. A mom's love doesn't abandon its post, right? She's faithfully there for her kids no matter what, sacrificing deep devotion. Someone wrote this, a mother's love is something that no one can explain. It's made of deep devotion, sacrifice, and pain. It is endless and unselfish and enduring come what may, for nothing can destroy it or take that love away. That's right, love endures. And then finally, we read here in verse 8, love never fails. Now again, no mom's love is perfect. Only God's love is perfect. But I'll tell you what, I know in the heart of every mom is that I want to be there no matter what. Her love is unfailing for her children. In light of that, an unknown author I came across wrote these words. As I walk through the museum of memories, Mom, I owe you. I owe you for your time, day and night. I owe you for your example, consistent, dependable. I owe you for your counsel, wise and quiet. I owe you for your humility, genuine, gracious. I owe you for your insight, keen and honest. I owe you for your flexibility, patient, joyful. I owe you for your faith, solid, sure. I owe you for your hope, ceaseless, indestructible. I owe you for your sacrifices, numerous and often forgotten. And finally, I owe you for your love, devoted, deep, and never failing. Yeah, love never fails. I'll close with this. One mother wrote in a paper her secret for success. This is what she wrote. When in the morning I washed my children, I prayed that they might be washed in the Savior's precious blood. When I put on their clothes in the morning, I prayed that they might be clothed in the garments of salvation and in the robes of God's righteousness. When I gave them food, I prayed that they would be fed from the bread of life, from the word of God. When they started going to school, I prayed that their faith might be a shining bright light, brighter and brighter every day as they grow up. And finally, when I put them to sleep, I prayed that they might always be covered in the Savior's everlasting arms. It's a good word from a mom. So Mom, thank you for the sacrifices. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you for joining us here on Larger Than Life today. Pastor Ron Hint of Calvary Houston brought us a special Mother's Day message today. Never underestimate the love and devotion of a mom. In fact, let's take a moment to say thank you to all the moms listening. A mother's love is much of what can shape a person's life. In the passage Pastor Ron covered today, you heard about love being patient and kind, not keeping track of wrongs, and that love helps you persevere. We hope what you heard today encouraged and challenged you to live this out. Did you love today's message? Want to share it with your mom? Then head over to ltoradio.org and look under the teaching archive to find a copy to share. There are a lot of ways to listen to Pastor Ron's messages, including downloading our mobile app, also found on our website, ltoradio.org. Larger Than Life is also available in podcast form, and you're definitely going to want to subscribe so you don't miss a moment of this great teaching. Calvary Houston wants you to know that you're always welcome to join them on Sundays at 9 or 11 a.m. or Wednesdays at 7 p.m. With that, our time is up for today. We're so glad that you had a chance to listen to this special Mother's Day message. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to our next time together as Pastor Ron will share another great teaching here on Larger Than Life.